Alright, so this video will introduce you to the course policies for the lecture portion of this course. I'm going to create a different video for the lab portion of the course, but I wanted to walk you through our syllabus as well as our Canvas page here. So actually, first of all, if you click on the Canvas, the first thing you're going to see is this home page here. Each one of these is just a quick link to the relevant portion on the modules page. Okay, so if I clicked here, it would take me to the course introduction module. If I clicked here, it would take me to the chapter 1 module. Okay, let's go through the course introduction here. Actually, real quick before I go on, if you are on the mobile version, then actually instead of seeing this page, you'll just see this list of links here, and you can get to where I'm talking about by clicking the modules button. Start by clicking here. This page will just tell you how to navigate through your Canvas course. Importantly, this page here tells you how to turn on submission comment notifications. This is where you will be notified if I leave a comment on one of your assignments. So I recommend that you guys turn that on, because if you miss that comment, that's on you. Okay. So we're going to go through the syllabus. If you click on the syllabus tab here, you'll notice that there are 4 different versions of the syllabus depending on which section that you're in. The only difference there is going to be the listed course time. Just pay attention to Web Advisor as to which section you are and what your course number is. What your room numbers, your lab times, your lecture times, all that good stuff is listed on Web Advisor. Note up here, it says 28783. You may not be in the 28783 section. This is just because all these sections have been merged into one Canvas course. So you can ignore what's at the top here. Pay attention to what's on Web Advisor. All right. So I'm going to click that again. Depending on what section you're in, this top part might be different. And that's really the only thing that's going to be different. There is a Math 3A or equivalent prerequisite for this course. That's because math is going to be an important part of this course. We're going to do stuff called unit conversions and stoichiometry, which is all fairly math-based. So you need to have a math background in order to take a Chem3A course. All right, so let's just get into it here. So again, I'm going to focus specifically on the lecture portion of the course. This welcome message is just to give you an idea of what lecture is going to be about. In particular, we are fully back in person this semester. So we have, each week we will have 2 in-person lectures, and then there's going to be a mix of in-person and online assignments for the lecture portion of the course. Each week, new material will be delivered, as well as assignments and practice material. This course has a lot of material that we have to get through, and so each lecture we're going to learn something new, learn new problems, and then the next lecture we can't dilly-dally, we got to move on to the next subject. Okay? And actually, let me bring up our Canvas page real quick, because I can go to chapter 1 and kind of give you an example here. So again, all chapter 1 stuff is organized into this module. You see that there's different headers. There's the lecture stuff contained here. There's Alex, our online homework system, and I'll go over what that is here in a second, as well as the lab component of the course is also on this page. Okay. So first of all, if I click the chapter 1 introduction, I provide you with the lecture slides, as well as anything else you might need for that particular chapter. In this case, a periodic table is going to be really important, so downloading the periodic table. This is the version of the periodic table that we're going to be using throughout the course, so I highly recommend you get familiarized with it. And then there are the learning objectives for that course, kind of broken down by topic. In particular, each bullet point is, the type of problem I expect you to be able to do from that lecture. Okay, and then going into this, you see that there's a topic and then a quiz, and then a topic and then a quiz, and then a topic and then a quiz, topic, quiz, etc. These are what I consider to be the lecture assignments. These quizzes, these are the easy points that you can get throughout the semester. You have an infinite number of attempts to do them. You can use your notes, you can use online resources, all that sort of stuff. This is just making sure you understand what type of problems I expect you to be able to do. Okay, and for each lecture, this is my first time teaching 3A in person, but I did teach it online last semester. So for each lecture, I actually have a lecture video associated with it as well. Okay. So again, this atoms and subatomic particles, this is what we covered in the first lecture of this week, as well as the course introduction stuff. Periodic table, atomic isotopes, and atomic masses. These three topics will be covered in the second lecture of the week, etc., etc. Okay, so this is kind of how our course is organized, and you can see that on Canvas. You have a week from when the lecture was delivered to complete the assignment, right? So this was delivered on Tuesday, which means that it is due that next Monday, January 17th. These will be delivered on Thursday, which means that they're due Wednesday, January 19th. Okay, okay, so that's your sort of homework, what you're supposed to do at home. As I said, I have posted the lecture videos. That doesn't mean you don't have to come to class. In fact, starting next week, each lecture there will be a daily quiz to test your understanding of the previous week's material. Okay, so those homework assignments, those lecture assignments, those are the easy points. You can do them as many times as you want. There's no time limit. You can use online resources, all that sort of stuff. The daily quizzes, those are a little bit harder points to get. I will allow you to use your notes, but you can't use online resources. You can't be Googling stuff, and there's going to be a time limit involved. So you want to know that your material before getting to class. All right. And then at the end of each unit, a unit consists of about 3 chapters. There will be an exam, a summative exam, meaning it contains all 3 of those chapters to test your understanding of what was covered. There will be 4 such exams throughout the semester, all culminating in a final exam, which is a nationally standardized ACS final exam. ACS stands for the American Chemical Society. And we use this nationally standardized exam so we can tell how well our students are doing compared to the nation as a whole. All right. Now, as I said, this course is quite dense in terms of the material that we have to get through, right? And in part, that's because we're preparing for this nationally standardized exam. We need to make sure we've covered all the topics in that exam. Because of that, staying on top of your work is going to be very important, and reaching out when you have any problems or any confusion is also really important. So my office hours, I have 2 sets of office hours. One of them are digital office hours, or rather virtual office hours, on Monday evenings from 5:30 to 7:30. I'll have Zoom office hours. There's an office hours page on Canvas with that Zoom link. So here's where my Zoom link is. I also have in-person office hours on Friday. Okay, my office hours are from 12 to 2. This is a part of what we call GRASP, which is on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I'll be there from 12 to 2, but at any point from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. there will be a chemistry instructor in there that can help answer your questions. Okay, so that's what GRASP is. It's kind of like this open study session that's always manned by a chemistry instructor, and every instructor here has taught 3A at some point. So there will always be somebody in there that can help you out. In addition, we have a tutorial center on Canvas. You can follow this link to figure out what the hours are for chemistry, but there is a tutorial center, and there are dedicated chemistry tutors at the tutorial center to help you out as well. And then lastly, a new addition to this course is we have an ETC leader, Nay, and he has sent out his information via a Canvas announcement. Okay, so that's just yet another resource that you can utilize. All right, so instructor, here's me. Here's my email address. You can actually contact me through Canvas even easier. It will go straight to my email address. But yes, and if you want to contact me through Outlook, you can use my email address here, nicholas.corsepius@fresnocitycollege.edu. Again, my office hours are virtual on Mondays and in person on Fridays. This is my office phone. I highly recommend you try to contact me via email because I may not be in my office at all times. If I cannot meet you during normal office hours, please feel free to send me an email and we can arrange to meet outside of office hours. I can actually usually answer questions over Zoom. I can see your homework attempts. I can see what you're doing wrong and be like, hey, you keep doing this when you want to do that. Oftentimes we can remedy this just via email, and if not, we can hop on Zoom real quick and figure it out. Okay, course description, course objectives, and student learning outcomes. This is language that we've negotiated with that our chemistry department has negotiated with the community college district in terms of what our 3A course should contain. So you can read through that. The bottom line is everything that we're going to learn is going to be, in service to one of these different course objectives. The required materials, so we're going to be using the Burge Introductory Chemistry textbook. You can find that in the bookstore. It's also available as a reference in the library, so if you're not really somebody who uses their textbook very often, you can use the library version. Make sure that when you're purchasing this for the bookstore, you purchase the one that has the ALEX online homework, not the Connect online homework. We're going to be using ALEX as our online homework system. Whoops. And then calculator is another thing you're going to need for this course. You want to have a calculator that's not just a 4-function calculator, one that adds, subtracts, multiplies, divides. You want to be able to like raise something to the power of something or take the square root of something. So basically you want this calculator. I do have some that I can lend you for an exam or something like that, but it's really helpful to have a calculator that you're familiar with, that you know the buttons, where they are, so you're not trying to figure out something new come exam day. Okay, attendance policies. So this is where things are going to get kind of legalese. Excused absences. So first of all, we are fully back in person this semester. So all of the normal in-person rules apply. There's not going to be any Zoom labs, Zoom lectures, anything like that. Everything is in person. If you are going to be absent and you don't let me know, you don't say anything, you're going to get a 0 on any assignment that's done that day. Okay? If you have an excused absence, you're going to have to meet these 4 qualifications. Number 1, you have notified me within 24 hours of that absence. 2, the absence is short term. You cannot be gone from class for longer than 2 weeks. 3, there has to be a serious and compelling reason for missing the class, meaning basically you got to have a good reason. And 4, there needs to be some sort of documentation provided that proves that your absence is indeed serious and compelling. I have to be able to verify your absence at some point. Okay? Those 4 things, as long as you meet those 4 standards, your absence will be excused. All right, so now let's talk about what that means for the lecture. For the most part, if you miss a lecture, it's not that big of a deal in the sense that I do have the videos posted. You will be missing that daily quiz though. Okay, and there is no opportunity to make up a daily quiz. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your 5 lowest scoring daily quizzes at the end of the semester, and I'm going to drop the 5. Okay, we'll have about 25 throughout the semester. I'm going to drop your 5 lowest scoring ones. If you're absent, that's going to be one of the ones that gets dropped. Okay, if you are present at all times and you take all of them, then I'm going to drop your 5 lowest scoring ones. Okay, exams are a little bit bigger of a deal. If you miss an exam or you're just like a no call, no show, you get a 0 on the exam. If you do have an excused absence for an exam, there's not going to be any sort of makeups or taking online, any of that nonsense. Instead, your exam grade is just going to be replaced by an average of your other 3 lecture exam scores, right? So if you miss exam 2, for example, your exam 2 score will be an average of exams 1, 3, and 4. And again, I'm going to go over lab absences later. Final exam, that ACS final exam is a mandatory part of the course. If you don't take that ACS final, you can't pass the course. You should pay attention to these important dates, particularly the drop dates for dropping with and without a W. You can follow this link to get to all the important dates, including the holidays for this semester. All the holidays fall on Monday except for spring break. Participation. So first of all, my teaching style is very much call and response kind of teaching style where I'm like, what's the charge on a proton? And you guys say +1. That's mainly just to keep the class interesting, to keep students engaged. There's not going to be any participation in there's not going to be a grade for that sort of participation. I do expect you to participate with our Canvas assignments, right? So all of these here are going to have, each lecture is going to be associated with lecture assignments that if you do not do, you will be penalized for. Okay. Class outline and calendar. So here's just a rough estimate of when we're going to be learning what. There's actually a lecture schedule and a lab schedule on Canvas. These are going to, if there is any change to the lecture schedule, it will be updated here. I can't touch the syllabus once it's created. So the syllabus is just sort of my best guess. This is where you want to go for our lecture and lab schedule. All right, again, I'll talk about lab in a bit. You can note the exam schedule. Our first exam is that second week in February. And then how the assignments go, your lecture assignments will boil down to 5 points per lecture, whereas the daily quizzes will be 7.5 points per lecture. Again, these are the easy points to get. You can take them as many times as you want, all that sort of stuff. There's no excuse for not having a good grade on your lecture assignments. The daily quizzes, these are a little bit more difficult, but as long as you've completed your lecture assignments, they should be doable, as well as you'll have access to your notes, but you won't be able to look online or talk to any peers, and they are timed. Alex, I'll talk about here in 1 second. The exams are 100 points, and then lastly, your final exam is 200 points. Okay? So, in terms of assignments for the course introduction, first of all, at the end of this, you want to take this syllabus quiz, make sure you understand the course policies. In addition, I want you to introduce yourself via a video you post on Canvas. That's your public personal introduction, where you say, hi, my name is, my major is, and a fun fact about me is. This has 2 main goals. 1, helping me put a face to the name, and 2, getting you in the habit of posting multimedia to Canvas, which is something that's going to be really important. And then lastly, your private personal introduction you want to do, which is just where you're going to give me the following pieces of information. If you have a name that you prefer that's different from my roster, preferred pronouns, what your major is, and anything else you think I should know about you that you don't want to broadcast to the world. So in addition to those course introduction assignments, you're going to sign up for ALEX. ALEX is our online homework system. What makes ALEX different from other online homework systems is that it has some artificial intelligence that it uses in an effort to figure out what areas you're good at and what areas that you're weak at, and sort of help you beef up those problem areas. Okay. The first thing you're going to do is this initial knowledge check. And this is just Canvas trying to figure out what you know and what you don't know about chemistry already. You don't want to cheat your way through an initial knowledge check, or ALEX is going to assume that you're just some chemistry genius and it's going to give you all the hardest problems that it has. Okay, so you want to take this honestly, make sure that you're doing your best, but if you get it wrong, you get it wrong. This isn't something that's going to be graded on correctness. Everybody will get full credit as long as they complete it. Okay, the important part is that you complete it honestly. ALEX is trying to learn what you know, what you don't know, what you're good at, what you're bad at, and it will help tune all future problems to that. Cool. All right, grading scale. So this is an important thing to note. First of all, pretty straightforward. 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 a B, etc. The thing that I want to point out that's important is that an 89, I'll round to the ones place. So an 89.5 rounds up, an 89.4 rounds down. That's just how math works. Common misconception is at the end of the semester, I'm going to say, I think this person deserves this grade. That's not how it works. I'm going to do it by the numbers. I'm going to offer a certain number of points in the course. You're going to obtain, you're going to get a certain number of points in the course. That's how your final grade is calculated. It's a numbers game. This is about the approximate grade breakdown: 14% homework, 20% quizzes, 22% lab assignments, 30% exams, 15% final exams. The reason that these numbers are kind of weird, 22%, 14%, etc., is because I don't lock these categories into place. I like points to be points. So a point on a lab report is the same as a point on an exam, is the same as a point on a homework. The difference is homeworks are 5 points, exams are 100 points, right? So that's how these different weights come from. But nonetheless, a point on an exam is the same as a point on a homework. I think it makes it a little bit more straightforward. These are approximate and they are subject to change. If I feel like students are weak in a certain area, I might issue a new assignment and that will change things ever so slightly, but they'll remain about in these ballparks. Okay. Make assignments, again, focusing on just the lecture material. In-class assignments can't be made up. If it's a daily quiz, you'll get a 0, but that's one of the ones that I drop. If it's an exam, it cannot be made up, but if it's an excused absence, your grade will be replaced by an average of the other ones. Okay. Take-home lecture assignments, any sort of take-home assignment can be made up, or rather can be turned in late, but you will automatically receive a 10% penalty per day for any late work. All right, I'll talk about laboratory experiments and worksheets in my lab video, my lab introduction video. Finally, late work. All assignments are closed 3 days after the due date. You can't turn it in if it's more than 3 days late. Extra credit, typically don't offer extra credit. Class norms. Actually, real quick before we move on to that, I just want to note the ALEX online homework system does not allow late work. This is just how ALEX works. If I could sort of allow it to do the 10% penalty per day, I would, but that's not how it works. ALEX, you cannot turn in late. Okay, class norms. So the biggest thing that I'm going to say about class norms is you're going to hear me say this over and over and over again. This course is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. It's all about pacing yourself, setting time aside each week to chip away at this stuff, not saving it all for the last minute and trying to cram through it. Seeing students do it semester after semester after semester, it doesn't work. Okay. It's a great way to put in a lot of work, be exhausted, and still not pass the class. Set aside time in your schedule each week, okay? For a 4-credit course, we're assuming you're going to spend twice that out of class, meaning 8 hours outside of class. Budget those 8 hours. Figure out where in the week you're going to do that now is my big recommendation. Academic dishonest policy. Ever since we went online, academic dishonesty has exploded, and so we crack down hard. All right? At this point, you're adults. You guys know what cheating is. Don't do it. If we catch you, you will indeed, full force. We got to report it to the dean, the vice president of instruction. There's paperwork. It goes on your record. It's this whole big thing. Just don't do it. Have some pride in your education. Don't be trying to cheat your way through it. Lastly, so first of all, final exam schedule is set by the university, so you can see that then. Of course, I'm going to remind you closer to. But last thing I want to say is just by virtue of being a Fresno City College student, you guys have access to a lot of different support services, both mental and physical health, as well as the RAM Pantry, which is like this no questions asked food bank for those of you who have any food insecurity or hungry, as well as the Tutorial Center, which has tutoring not only for chemistry courses, but for every course that's offered here at Fresno City College. You can get services through the Tutorial Center. Cool.